nhớ rong nên nó cũng bỏ ya president CEO nhớ đột tập Fresno Center nhớ hồ lu trong Fresno rong share trong mong USA TV nên cho tôi cùng pe trong nụ nọ thia nụ nọ nhớ đột tập Fresno Center pe lu cùng hậu Fresno Center cùng cho firm thia pe tu funder và ya the Sarah Health Foundation pe ku Unity for Anti-Asian Hate ya lu shi hở pe cho cùng hậu nhớ hồ pe lu trong Fresno tua shi thông share cùng chữ trong nụ nọ bây giờ thà cho cái ship ba cái ship khoác kia có bay bao thì giờ mới tu nâng từ và phải đó bay hay lũ chỉ trong đó bay là có bay giờ chủ là một ship ba kia là một kia rồi tầm lúa cả là bao thì giờ là yuan tàuอยู่lâu là yuan chậuอยู่ลิจ่าlâu là yuanว่าแต่อยากchỉ trong choอยู่lâuนั่นlà có bay choเนี่ยจะสิในหาbao là một tay cho lũ nó thì tầm lúa nóอยู่thà làที่bao nó là thà thì vì tiệt tại sao nhá cho lũ tiệt tay nó cũng muốn tao hại nâng nhau ít tiền nâng chỉ tao hay là chỉ hậu chỉ trong này mua cái chỉ học sinh ya chỉ còn là có chữ sinh nè trong là bé lưu công trình bé vợ trongนู้นเนาะya bé rồi unity for anti-hate chỉ còn là bé là một sự cộng sự cả trong một cái sinh chú.
We are delighted to see you all here to join us in solidarity with United Against Hate to raise awareness for the Stop the Hate initiative. Our goal is to unite diverse racial groups, strengthen alliances, and foster cultural understanding and empathy. So we aim to affirm community values of safety, equity, inclusion, and belonging for all. By elevating the voices of those targeted by hate, we create opportunities to share impactful stories of harmful and powerful community support. Together, we can strengthen communication and build trust between communities, our communities. So before we start, we would like to thank our funder, the Sarah Health Foundation, and our sponsor, Anthem Blue Cross, for making this event successful as well. Without further ado, starting off this United Against Hate Block Party, we would like to invite Pao Yang, President and CEO of the Fresno Center, Christine Barker, Executive Director of Firm, Sonia Valadez, Program Associate from the Center at Sarah Health Foundation, and Mark Salazar, Deputy Chief from the Southeast Division Police Department, up to the stage for a few words. Could I get a round of applause, please?
All right, good afternoon or good evening. Welcome to the Fresno Center. Before I begin, I want to thank our program managers from the Fresno Center and Firm. Can I get everybody to give a round of applause to Cindy and Chuya and their amazing team. Without their leadership and their support and their dedication, this event wouldn't happen today, so thank you. With me up here is our Deputy Chief, Mark Salazar, the Executive Director at Firm, Christine, and then also the Program Officer from the San Joaquin Valley Health Foundation, Sonia Valdez, is also up here with me. I also want to thank our partners for being here this evening, but most importantly, I want to thank our community for being out here with us to support this initiative. This is our second annual Uniting Against Any Type of Hate. And that is so important, is we are uniting so that we can come together. If you take a look at us, we look different. We're all different size, shape, height, different colors. But at the end of the day, folks, we bleed the same blood. We breathe the same air. We all need oxygen, we need food to nourish our body, and sometimes we forget that. We forget who we are, we forget where we come from, and we forget about the people that came in front of us that struggle, like many of us that are currently struggling. You know, and when we come together like today, and we bring our partners, we bring our community leaders, we bring our police officers, we bring our organizations, And I know the council has a meeting today, so some of our elected officials are not able to make it right now, but hopefully later on they'll join us. We're going to be here till 8 p.m. This evening. Is to be together so we can build that camaraderie, right? So that we can look at each other, so that we can talk. Because if we're not together, we can never be united. If we work in silos, we can never help each other. But if when we're comfortable, to be uncomfortable with each other, that's when we're going to come together. And that's when we can stand together, we can fight together, and we can defend each other. I want to share with you guys, there was a survey that was just released yesterday in USA Today. It shows a staggering 49% of Asian American and Pacific Islanders were victims of hate crime in the US. 49%. And they did a survey of about a little bit over 1,000 Asian Americans across the nation. And half of them reported a hate crime against them. And sometimes, a lot of the folks that are victims, we stay quiet, right? Sometimes that's our culture. Sometimes that's our nature, to not report. That's why it's so important that we partners with our police department to help them educate us so that we can educate our community, so that we know when we're being targeted, so that we know when we're being hated on. And sometimes we don't know that. Many of us are refugees and immigrants to this wonderful country. Sometimes those of us that have been here for a while, we forget that our ancestors are immigrants and refugees to this great country as well. Because at the end of the day, we all come to this country. This country is a melting pot. This country is what it is today because of all of us, because of all our differences. Those of us that you see on stage, there's more diversity than this in this country, and we forget that. In the survey, the good thing about this survey with the Asian American population is that they're showing that since the pandemic, folks are coming together more. Asian Americans are willing to be educated and to educate, willing to donate to advocacy organizations, social justice organizations, willing to also support and build relationships with our elected officials, community leaders, and our police department to also help educate them about us. You know, because at the end of the day, our police officers are also from our community. Our police officers are our family members. They're our brothers and sisters. They have a family member or a person that they know that is also a victim of hate crimes. Let's not forget that they do understand, but we have to come together. If we come together and if we unite together, I can't see anything that can hurt us but ourselves if we allow it. You know, a good analogy is a table, right? You see this stage that we stand on? If you pull up the skirt of the stage, there's a lot of legs standing together. That's why it's able to hold up this weight. But if there's only one post underneath this stage, it's going to crumble when we stand on it. Those legs holding up this stage, that's us, that's you. That's all of us that are here tonight. And there's still so many more in our community. We're not talking about the Asian community, we're talking about our Fresno community. We need to continue to stay united. We're also very honored this afternoon or evening to also have Kent Mua and his parents and family with us. And those of you that are on social media, which is all of us that are on social media, past few months, it's been a lot going on about young Kent and what's happening to him at Sanger Unified School District. It's very unfortunate that it's happening here in the Valley. Things like this should not go unnoticed. The parents shouldn't have to be fighting for what's happening to little Kent. You know, they say that when we see injustice being done and if we don't stand up, because it's not us, when it happens to us, who's going to stand up for you? That's part of being united, is we stand up for each other. We stand up for the folks that can't stand up for themselves. We stand up and we speak up for the people that can't speak up for themselves. So today we stand up for Kent and his family. We stand up for what's happening to Kent. It's unacceptable. If it's the process, let's change that process. If it's the people, let's take a look at the people. But the bottom line is, it's the people who create the process. So let's take a look at that. Let's come together and find solutions. Bullying shouldn't be happening in our community. Bullying shouldn't be happening in the United States of America. This is the greatest country in the world. We set the example for everybody. There should be zero tolerance for bullying, for hating on anybody that is different than you. So I want to thank everybody. I want to thank our partners. I want to thank my friends that are with me as we unite tonight and we continue to unite for future generations to come. On behalf of the Fresno Center, thank you. My colleagues are also going to speak, so thank you and welcome to United Against Hate this evening at the Fresno Center. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I am Christine Barker Dominguez is my married name. I'm trying to get used to using it. And I'm so excited to be with all of you today. We are here for many reasons, and one of them is that 2 and a little bit years ago, 3 years ago now, the state of California took a look at how it was investing in all of the communities that make California, California, and realized that Asian American communities were being left out. Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander communities. And so there was this incredible organizing of people just like us and legislators who said, that needs to change. This needs to stop. And in the middle of COVID-19, there were racially specific attacks that were happening on people who appeared Asian. And Asian American legislators and allies worked together to pass this incredible thing called the AAPI equity budget, and it was historic. Like, California hadn't seen that level of investment before. And the only reason that happened was because a lot of people said, what's happening right now isn't right, and it can't continue. Asian Americans have been a part of California and a part of Fresno since Fresno began. Did you know that when Fresno was founded, it was 1/3 Asian? And when Fresno first started, 1/3 of Fresno residents were Chinese Americans who came working on the railroad. And so a lot of rhetoric that we hear, and many of you probably have heard this directed at you in a form of hate statement or hate incident or kind of othering, is this idea that Asians are somehow new or like foreign or like exotic to California and to Fresno. And like, that's not true. And it really has never been true for as long as Fresno has been around. And so we have to continue to organize, and we have to continue to advocate for all of our communities when there are individual cases and also when there are systemic exclusions and disparate impacts. Look at me using big old fancy words. We have to continue to organize and speak up, because change doesn't happen without us continuing to fight and continuing to raise our voices and continuing to get uncomfortable and pointing to each and every person in each and every community that's being excluded, that's being left out. I don't know if you remember the beginning of COVID. The way that I figured out that COVID was like a really big deal was like in February, because our Southeast Asian aunties and uncles were stocking up on rice because they were already hearing what was happening in Asia, and they were like, I know how this goes down. I'm not running out of food for my family. And so we had a rice shortage in February, and I remember us talking about it in 2020, being like, really? And then March happened. And then all of the anti-Asian hate kind of exploded. And it was coming at every level. It was coming at the grocery store, it was coming in the news, it was coming all over the place. And it took us a while to figure out how are we going to respond to that. And I am so proud of the work that so many of you did in order to respond locally. Many thanks to the City of Fresno, who passed an anti-Asian hate ordinance that led to the Office of Community Affairs with Joe, who is here representing the City of Fresno today. And that's just the beginning. So I am so glad that we are here to celebrate and to learn from one another and to eat good food and to party and be in community and develop those relationships of trust together. And I'm here to say, y'all, we got more work to do. Come on, let's go. Let's do it.
Hello everyone, I want to first say thank you so much for being here. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but whenever the Fresno Center asks for a Sierra Health Foundation representative, I am always so honored to attend and say a few words. My name is Sonia Valadez, and I'm the Program Associate for the Stop the Hate program with the Center at Sierra Health Foundation. We gathered here today to stand in solidarity with United Against Hate Week to raise awareness for the Stop the Hate initiative. I want to take this moment to emphasize just how important the work that the Fresno Center and firm are doing here today by having this block party, bringing together the community full of diverse cultural backgrounds and elevating those different voices to show hate has no business being here. As a soon-to-be first-time mom, there are so many different anxieties and fears that come up while waiting for the arrival of my first baby. I think about the future and how she'll be in school. I worry about her big sister as well, if they'll make friends easy, if anyone in the future will come and crush their spirit, especially with regards to their race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, or whatever it may be. There are so many things that go through my head when I'm laying in bed at night. However, knowing that there are people who do care, and organizations like the Fresno Center, FIRM, Stone Soup, Education Leadership Foundation, JACARA, and HIP, whose primary focus is to stand up against hate, provide different resources for individuals, and overall bring the community together, it brings me a sense of peace that money cannot buy. United Against Hate Week in general, and these events are so imperative to have and so important to attend, and the Sierra Health Foundation and I are forever grateful to be a part of it. So again, thank you so much for all the challenging work that the Fresno Center, FIRM, JACARA, HIP, Stone Soup, Education Leadership Foundation, and everyone that they do for the community. Thank you all for being here and showing that we in Fresno City and Fresno County refuse to tolerate hate in our communities and instead want to raise our families in a community of love. Please enjoy some yummy food, the talented entertainment, and continue the fight to stay united against hate. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mark Salazar. I'm a Deputy Chief of Investigations, not Southeast. My focus is on 149 detectives that focus on violent crime in the city of Fresno. And if you know Fresno, that keeps us busy. And so hate, for us, hate has no place. And I first want to say thank you for Powell. When he invites me, I come. And we have a relationship that goes back many, many years. And I would say part of our strengths in the community, our relationship with the community, is due to the relationship that we have with the Fresno Center. And so here with me is Lieutenant Price. He's part of the command staff here at Southeast Fresno, and he's one of the 3 commanders that run Southeast Fresno. And so right now, when you look at hate crimes, hate incidents, they're low. And the reason they're low is because, in my opinion, they're underreported. So right now we have 15 hate crimes in the city of Fresno. Last year we ended with 19 hate crimes. And right now there's no trends. And so usually it's 18, 19, sometimes it gets into the 20s. A city of this size of Fresno, we know that it's a much larger number, but we don't have people calling in. So when you have an incident, call in. When you have something that happens like that, call in. And just recently, we had a horrific assault in the Tower District. And at the time, community leaders that are part of the Fresno Center and part of the hate crime task force with the U.S. Attorney's Office got a hold of me and said, we think this is hate related. And so at the time I told them I didn't think so, but again, we don't know until we uncover the investigation. And we worked that case 24/7 around the clock, detectives night and day, and we were able to solve that case. And that case occurred in front of Cuca's Mexican restaurant. And so when we do have a hate crime, how we respond, how Fresno PD responds, we, from the top of the organization down to the patrol officer responding, we take it seriously. You have captains, lieutenants that are going out there. You're going to have detectives on this case day and night on the weekends, and we're going to solve that case because we know the fear that it could create in the community. So again, thank you for coming out here. Block parties, we know something about block parties. We're pretty good at it at Fresno PD, and Fresno Center has been an incredible partner under the leadership of Powell. So thank you.
Good evening. My name is Malher, and I am the mother of Kent Moa. I want to thank the Fresno Center firm and Stop the Hate Coalition for having my family here today. We are here to raise awareness about bullying, harassment, and cyberbullying, and this is my journey as a concerned mother. To provide some context, my son Kent was born visually impaired, has ADHD, OCD, and anxiety. He is also developmentally delayed. Ken has been on an individual education plan since elementary school and is currently a sophomore at Sanger West High School. I want to share a timeline of my experiences as a parent trying to ensure my son's safety. Ken has been bullied since 7th grade at Washington Academic School in Sanger. I was unaware of it at first because he tends not to stand up for himself or voice his concerns. In March of this year, Kent told me about an Instagram fan page dedicated to him. Since he doesn't have social media, I looked it up and was horrified to see it had 457 followers making fun of him. I reached out to the school and spoke with the counselor, vice principal, and school resource officer. Despite detailing how Kent was being bullied and harassed, they said they could only report the page since it was on social media. Frustrated but hopeful, I waited for things to improve. However, things escalated when 3 boys harassed Kent at the bus stop, using racial slurs and mocked his disability. The incident was reported to the school. Feeling overwhelmed and scared for my son's safety, I filed a complaint with the district and attempted to file a police report, only to be told that I had to do it myself on Fresno.gov. I met with the principal of Sanger West High School, mentioning many of the photos of Kent were taken on school grounds. The response was similar. They would report the Instagram page and Kent would receive counseling. Disappointed, I met with the associate superintendent on May 28th and June 10th. The district's findings were that Sanger West followed regulations and protocols. They interviewed students and involved the school resource officer in the investigation. They even contacted the media platform to remove the account. As of August, the Instagram page was still active with 457 followers, despite my providing screenshots of its content. If you were in my shoes, would you feel relieved with these findings? If the school acknowledged that the page engaged in cyberbullying, why haven't any actions been taken against the students posting derogatory content or the person who created the page? Why aren't these students being held accountable? The day before school started, another post welcomed everybody back and encouraged them to take pictures of Kent. Distressed, I emailed the administrators about this. During a meeting to discuss Kent's safety, I asked the school resource officer if the post constituted harassment or bullying, and he answered yes to both questions. Yet the team's solution was to offer counseling for Kent and monitor him through the day, along with conducting cyberbullying lessons only for the sophomore class. The following day, I requested to have a second police report filed by the student resource officer. I was told again that I had to do it myself. Are parents expected to file their own police reports for incidents that happen at school? And if so, what is the role of the resource officer? According to Sanger's contract with Fresno PD, it says, the role of the resource officer is to respond to reports on campus of on-campus criminal activity using proper discretion to address criminal activity, which includes investigation, documentation, and enforcement of the incident based on the totality of the circumstances and the law violated. On August 27th, I decided to share our story publicly at a board meeting, and overnight, the Instagram page was removed. My son's case, however, has left me with many unanswered questions. Why did it take 5 months to remove the account? What defines a safe environment for a child at school? How many more cases like mine remain unspoken? As a district employee, I endured 5 months of distress. What about other parents? Do you share my concerns? What if you were monolingual and did not know how to proceed? What if you were afraid to speak up? And this is why we are here today. This is why we need to raise awareness. No parent should have to go through what we went through. Here in front of you is your network of support, the Fresno Center, FIRM, and Stop the Hate Coalition. They will guide you through the process. You need to take the first step and be the voice for your child, because they might feel alone, scared, and hesitant to speak up. I stand here not just for my son, but for all children who have faced bullying. And I believe that together we can create a safer environment for our schools and community. United, we have the power and strength to confront this issue. Thank you.
So Teresa Blanchard has expressed concerns about the bullying that her son was subjected to over a 3-year period while attending Sanger Unified School District as well. The Blanchard family remains frustrated with the district's lack of response and unwillingness to proactively address bullying and other safety issues. Teresa and her family have met with and spoken to school site officials, district administration, and the Sanger Unified School District Board of Trustees on several occasions, only to have their complaints discounted and ignored. Teresa Blanchard, a former teacher and administrator in Sanger Unified School District, raises concerns over the sustained bullying and cyberbullying that her son was subjected to, and the district's inconsistent response and failure to follow existing anti-bullying and school safety policies. Teresa believes that a unified community working proactively with school officials can help prevent bullying and harassment in our schools. The Stop the Hate program offers an excellent opportunity for the community to learn about the persistent problem of bullying and to take collective action to prevent its spread in our local schools. Therefore, Teresa Blanchard is a concerned parent, a dedicated advocate for students, a former employee of Sanger Unified School District. She served the Sanger community for 17 years as a teacher, curriculum support provider, district instructional specialist, and multilingual program specialist. I would like to have Teresa Blanchard speak up.
Good evening, community members. My name is Teresa Blanchard. I am the mother of 2 amazing children, Evan and Madeline. My son is currently in 7th grade and just transferred to a new middle school. He loves band, sports, video games, his friends, and his family. My daughter is in 5th grade and she loves music, volleyball, dancing, Girl Scouts, her friends, and her family as well. Both of my kids are bilingual and biliterate in Spanish and English, and we as a family are proud to celebrate multilingualism and multiculturalism. So far, we are thankful that both of our kids love their new schools. We have been welcomed into these districts and have been provided consistent and clear communication from teachers and administrators about their policies and practices, including zero tolerance for bullying and harassment, all within the first few weeks of school. As a mom, I forgot what it felt like to have my kids attend a school that was safe and welcoming. After 3 years of being ignored and unsupported by district and site administrators in Sanger Unified School District, I am here to stand alongside Malher and her family, her son, my son, our families, and other students who have been the target of harassment and bullying and cyberbullying at their schools. When we heard Mal speak at the board meeting in August, I reached out to her to share our similar concerns and experience. The first thing she told me was, I knew I wasn't the only one. Her statement devastated me. Because even though she knew, and we knew, that we could not be the only ones, that is precisely what inaction and hate will make you feel, that you are alone. As a former teacher and administrator who worked in Sanger Unified for 17 years, it was disheartening to see so many colleagues dismiss our concerns when my son's behavior, attitude, language, and social emotional well-being took a drastic turn in 4th grade. In October 2021, the school conducted my son's first suicide evaluation. It was determined to be low risk, thank you. But that is when he started to say things like, this is the worst day, I hate school, and I want to die. This was not typical behavior for him, and this caused a lot of distress as we tried to figure out what was going on and how to help him. At first, we were upset that we were getting so many negative reports and phone calls from the teacher and the principal, but then we realized there was more going on to cause these outbursts and disruptions at school. Behavior speaks, and Evan was trying to tell us that he was feeling unsafe, unsupported, and depressed at school, especially during PE, recess, and after school when adult supervision was limited. We discovered that Evan was being harassed by at least 2 peers almost every day at school that year. One classmate decided to record and post a YouTube video suggesting his life should be sacrificed. In the following days, we learned that the video was shared in a group text with 18 classmates, which led to additional threats and harassment. We reported the video and text messages to the principal, and although the video was removed from YouTube, the principal refused to hold the students accountable for participating in the group text messages, stating in writing that it is not the school's responsibility to get involved. Even though the messages and comments from our son's peers had a detrimental effect on our son's mental health, his academic performance, and his trust in his classmates and school staff. The child welfare and attendance officer added in a meeting that they must protect the First Amendment rights of the students in the group text. The school was more concerned about protecting the students who said that Evan deserved the cyberbullying video. After a few months later, a classmate who participated and made additional comments and threats in the group text told our son to go shoot yourself to his face in PE. We learned about this incident more than 24 hours later because the new principal had assumed, and she used that word, that our son would have told us about the incident the day before. The only reason she called us is because a construction fence had fallen on my son, and the nurse told us that he bumped his head on it. We had to do some digging and to find out what really happened after we found out from other concerned students and staff. When staff becomes aware of a directive to commit suicide, especially by a peer with a history of harassment toward our son, we feel it is not safe to assume that the victim will report this incident to others. Our son did, however, tell 2 of his teachers that day that he was told to go shoot himself, but they did not contact us. During a follow-up meeting with the principal a month later, she acknowledged that our son was still not okay from the sustained and unaddressed misconduct of peers from the previous year, but no counseling services or follow-up was provided. There was no suicide evaluation, and there was no threat assessment conducted for any of the peers involved. We filed our formal complaint on May 7th, and it took 136 days to get a written report from the investigation. This is more than double the time allotted for districts to investigate a uniform complaint. And we still don't have any resolution and have not been contacted by district administration to discuss our remaining concerns. Now, since September is National Suicide Prevention Month, this is such a timely and important event. Suicide is the second leading cause of death for children ages 10 to 14. It is the third leading cause of death among teens and young adults ages 15 to 24. More than 1 in 5 children have experienced cyberbullying before reaching the age of 13. Those same kids report that cyberbullying negatively impacted their feelings about themselves, their friendships, their physical health, and their schoolwork. Even Sanger, using Panorama data, reported that only 39% of students in grades 6 through 12 reported a sense of belonging. 39% felt like they fit in their school, and they were telling the school district that. In June 2024, after both the Her family and our family filed our formal complaints, the district finally made updates to their bullying policy. In the policy, it states, if the superintendent or designee believes it is in the best interest of a student who has been the victim of an act of bullying, the superintendent or designee shall advise the student's parents and guardians that the student may transfer to another school. Now, this year, Sanger Unified's motto is changing lives, but based on our experience, it seems their hidden agenda is to convince victims of bullying and harassment to change schools or districts. And as Mal mentioned earlier in her speech, if this was your child, if you were in our shoes, how would you feel? Now, silence and inaction is unacceptable, and Sanger Unified continues to take a reactive approach instead of a proactive approach. They tell the community, if you see something, say something. I've seen it on lots of letters that they've sent after we have, school shooting threats, and if they see someone in the community that they're asking the students and staff and community members to watch out for that may be threatening. If you see something, say something. But what happens when the site administrator or district administrator doesn't respond or says there's nothing that they can do? Or in our case, that it's not the school's responsibility to get involved. Or that the school psychologist writes down, and it's reported in our investigation report, that the school psychologist said she was proud of our son, proud of him for the way he responded to the circumstances after he was told to go shoot himself. How can you be proud of a student for not reacting and not causing any problems for the adults and having to suffer in silence? That is not something that we should be proud of. Now, the district needs to be held accountable. Wasting general funds and taxpayer dollars so they can pay 3 different law firms on litigation cases is totally unacceptable. Now, Sanger Unified has also spent $250,000 just this year on legal fees to the third-party law firm conducting our investigation. And since 2021, just 3 years, Sanger has paid more than $700,000 of general funds on legal fees instead of working with families to address concerns in a proactive manner. But yet they're asking for a new bond and more money from taxpayers. No child should have to endure the pain and fear of bullying, cyberbullying, or harassment from peers or adults. It is time for our community to come together and create a safe and supportive learning environment for all students. We have tried to work with Sanger Unified over the past 3 years, submitting letters of concern before we even filed or considered a formal complaint. We were ignored, and it took over a month each time we reached out to get information or answers from site and district administration. Now the community is watching, and they're waiting for Sanger and other districts to take action and make public statements about their zero tolerance policy. Their inaction is not only harming individual students and families, but is damaging the reputation of a district that was once well respected. The future and safety of our students depend on our collective commitment to address these issues. As parents and community members, it is our job to hold district and site leaders accountable. Let's work together to build a safer, more supportive learning environment for all of our students. Thank you.